Kirby is a franchise I should talk about more. The series houses some of my favorite games of all time, and Kirby makes for some great countdown material. So by the title of this video, you probably realize this countdown will be my personal choices for the top 15 Kirby bosses. I mean, if you didn't know, that would be plain stupid, but comic relief aside, Kirby's bosses are very inconsistent throughout the series, so I have lots of room to talk about different bizarre things from one entry to the next. Yippee! So the rules for this countdown. Number 1, I will be excluding all bosses from games I haven't played in the series, and those are Squeak Squad and Superstar Ultra. Number 2, I have to balance the number of entries per game to the best of my ability, which I promise I will do. Number 3, no final bosses allowed, and lastly number 4, no repeat fights. Therefore, King Dedede, Wispy Woods, and Krakow can only be from one game. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, let's count down my top 15 Kirby bosses. The older Kirby games didn't offer many interesting boss fights or any variety in how you fight them. However, Sweet Stuff offers a unique fight compared to the other bosses in Kirby's Dream Land 2. Sweet Stuff is the boss of the water world and is a challenging fight for a Kirby game. Obviously the fight takes place underwater, so Kirby's moveset is very limited. The only means you have of attacking involve curbing, blowing the starfish flowing in your direction into Sweet Stuff. This is a lot more interesting than it sounds, as normally blowing bubbles is simply an attack, and one that always kills enemies, instead of pushing them aside, although you can still suck up enemies. So with an altered gameplay gimmick, this fight stands out more than the other bosses in Kirby's old days. I also feel that Sweet Stuff is both really menacing and cute looking at the same time. Sweet Stuff will use laser beams to hurt you, and they are pretty fast. However, this boss is mostly difficult due to the starfish moving around in the water, so if you aren't good at Kirby swimming controls, you may suffer touch damage and get killed. Not to mention, the freak fish will charge at you. While it's a simple boss, it remains unique and fun, especially for the old Kirby games. So without question, Wispy Woods would appear in some capacity on this list. I chose Flowery Woods from Kirby Triple Deluxe. Flowery Woods mixes up the normal formula of the fights with Wispy by incorporating the following. Flowery Woods shoots puffs of air at you in fair amounts, while also just standing there watching you hurt it. But HAL Laboratories didn't make this fight like the others. When Flowery Woods' health is down to half, the tree hops into the background and launches multiple projectiles at you, with their own characteristics and damage output. The tree is invulnerable during this period, of course, and the attacks are actually very harmful. Thorns will rise from the ground quickly, and you will be sweating as a first-time player of Triple Deluxe wouldn't expect much from a Wispy Woods fight. After that phase, the tree slams itself back onto the foreground, this time slightly larger in size. The fight kicks butt for a first boss in a Kirby game, and I'm sure you know why this isn't any higher though. It's a simple fight. I must say, however, that Flowery Woods looks gorgeous and its attack patterns are pretty fast and impactful for a first boss. A weak fight when all put together, but has more depth than the battle with Sweet Stuff, placing it at number 14. Kirby's Epic Yarn is still one of the best Kirby games in my opinion. One thing it shares with the old Kirby games is that the boss fights usually weren't special or very fun at all. There was always an exception, and Squashini is quite an exception. This Yarn Magician uses a roulette to attack you, and you have to counterattack in a specific way to each attack. Squashini can summon hats to hide under, and keeping track of which hat he is under isn't difficult by any means, and this trick can be easily countered. The next one can't be used to get a hit, unfortunately. The curtains will close and reopen with Kirby being tied to a bomb. Next is throwing cards, which is very telegraphed, and Kirby can use the cards and throw them back at Squashini, doing damage. The last attack on the roulette is just normal small bombs, which of course can be easily countered. Squashini is a stupidly easy boss, but its unique take on the chance type of bosses is appreciated and very fun. Thankfully, this magician is no egg dealer. After climbing a large base in the desert of Kirby 64, you reach the boss. Pix is the boss, a group of diamonds colored red, green, and blue that circle around the rising elevator. Kirby cannot attack Pix for a couple of minutes, so you have to be patient. For a long time it's just about dodging, which is why this fight feels like it goes on forever at times. Still, let me tell you why Pix is a great boss. The diamonds will rotate their pointy side at you, meaning you have to time your evades carefully. Another pattern involves the diamonds rising and lowering at a constant speed around the circle elevator. More diamonds are added as the elevator rises, capping at 3. So far this boss is pretty fun and unique for dodging, but when Kirby's able to attack, the fight gets much better. At the peak of the ride to the top, the elevator will stop, giving you a very atmospheric view of the desert. To attack, you must suck up the hollow diamonds and spit them out at the color-coordinated solid diamond. After damaging Pix enough with all of the diamonds being destroyed, you win! The best way I can describe Pix is that the fight is just pure fun and interesting, especially for its time to have 3D diamonds actually be the boss. Well done! In a very atmospheric lava pool, a frog appears, and your thoughts are, why a frog? Well, as weird as it sounds, Ribbit, yes, Ribbit, is a tough boss, but a very exciting one too. The frog's design is great, and the battle arena just looks as great. Ribbit's attacks include bouncing around the screen, ground pounding, licking at you to eat you, and do
massive damage.
Well, the rest happen after half of Ribbit's health is lost. Ribbit will hop onto a volcano in the background as lava pillars creep towards you. Don't worry though, Kirby has plenty of time to dodge this attack. The next attack is a large rock that Ribbit shoots out of his mouth that hurts a lot. Kirby can get 2 hits on him if spat back out. His fire breath can be tricky too, but you'll live. Ribbit's battle has one major flaw in this well-rounded battle. Because the fight is very showy and animated, you have to wait for your chance to get a hit, and the boss battle drags on as a result. Little less than Pix, but this time it's a lot of stop and go. Missing a hit or missing the stars to suck up will result in another 20 seconds of waiting for an attack. Ribbit is not a replayable boss, but a memorable one and a well done fight. Cute but deadly, Acro. Not that Acro. Acro is a boss from both Kirby's Dream Land 3 and Kirby 64, but because the rules say that I can only pick one version, I chose the 64 version. Acro pretty much fights the same in both, with a little more depth provided in the 64 fight. Fun fact, Acro is Orca spelled backwards. The atmosphere in this fight is incredible. The background of the water section is dark and foreboding, while still having some nice color shading. Acro the Orca shoots Gordos and fish enemies from his mouth, which the latter can be spat back at Acro to damage him. What's most fun about this fight, but also the most lethal, is the Orca's tricks and flips that lead into a slam on the cave floor. You want to get close enough to him to suck up the stars made when he lands on the floor, but far enough to avoid
massive damage.
There's not much else to this fight. I just really like the atmosphere, the attacks Acro has, and how you are free to swim in a large area, unlike the cramped battle with sweet stuff. Also, the floor crumbles for a cool escape sequence, and... What?! Acro's still alive? And he chases you as you escape a vertical shaft. He will try to ram into you with a Beedrill maneuver when you can suck up surrounding enemies to damage him. He also shoots missiles from his mouth for some unknown reason. Well, that's a climactic boss battle for sure, and especially for an underwater one no less. Krakow was also done best in Triple Deluxe, like Wispy Woods. Krakow is most menacing and certainly most powerful here. The cloud summons enemies, rains hard, and moves with lightning following below him. The shading effect and the overall presentation of this fight is top notch, I must say. Halfway into the fight, everything changes. Krakow gains a red eye and takes to the background to annihilate Kirby. On its side spawns a massive drill arm that will be used to swoop down, and Krakow is always fast with his moves, so you better watch out for every single one of them. Krakow then empties himself with lots of random objects falling out, including a cannon with a one-track destination to the background. You may want to hop in within just a few milliseconds because then this happens. Okay, I quit mentioning all of Krakow's attacks as there are way too many. This cloud has so many attacks, but also moves so fast that you may die just from touch damage alone. This also combines with the fact that he is hard to hit. I really like this boss battle's difficulty because it's obnoxious but still fair and of course fun. One of the most interesting and funny bosses in all of gaming is the computer virus from Kirby Superstar. When the battle begins, a Windows 95 screen appears and you begin taking turns attacking a summoned enemy. The enemy's HP is even displayed in the window. So far it seems like an enemy rush, but I promise it gets better at the end. While after defeating all of the enemies, the top window says you have earned X amount of experience points, 2 appetite points, 4 humor points, 2 tenderness points, 4 fever points, 2 honesty points, and 4 love points. That's literally it for this boss fight. Moving on. Magman is a beast for just being lava with a face on it. This boss actually scared me as a child, but it remains creepy to this day. There's a lot to say, so let's begin with the arena. The dark background mixed with the constant color of red gives a condensed kind of feel, but also a very interesting mood. Kind of similar to the castle levels in Mario, flame enemies appear in between the cracks of platforms, and if you suck one up before they fall back into the lava, you can use it as a projectile in Magman. All of Magman's attacks in the first phase involve the use of lava pillars, but they bend and give off the impression that they are the monster's arms. This is correct thanks to the fact that they can be damaged. I really love how there's no set time to attack Magman's arms, you just have to fill it in while you're evading his attacks. The fight is very tough, but worse when you consider that Kirby can be knocked back into lava after receiving a slap from the lava arms, doing double damage to Kirby. With no warning, Magman will lift the rock platforms to the hot ceiling, so be careful and ready for anything. After enough careful hits, Magman will die. Nope! Phase 2 is a go-go. Magman will rise into the foreground, chasing you from the left of the screen. After landing on a long piece of rock, you'd think Magman wouldn't be able to reach Kirby, but surprisingly he can slide just fine. Small chunks of rock fall from Magman's command, and that is your new way of attacking. Magman then moves as a puddle across the screen, like Chaos from Sonic Adventure. Well, after dodging Fire Breath and sucking up more rocks and birds, Kirby is triumphant! Magman is a very impressive boss in scope and design, while also being incredibly fun and, as I've already stated, impressive for the Nintendo 64. Hey look! It's that world from my top 10 winter atmospheres countdown! Yep, White Wafer's house is one of the greatest Kirby bosses, and I'm here to tell. Goriath is obnoxiously strong and out of nowhere for the series. This beast hops from wall to wall like he's Mega Man X or something, while chucking snowballs at Kirby. He pretty much has no invincibility at any point, so attack whenever possible, but be careful because if you're like me and love flying around to avoid your attacks, well, Goriath may jump onto the part of wall right next to you, so be careful. This boss is incredible for its unpredictability while still being fun. Other than having a rocket arm rivaling Captain Falcon, Goriath goes Super Saiyan at half health and breaks the snowy floor beneath you. Each time he does this, the landscape of the fight changes slightly, which is a nice touch. Sorry for making a lot of references in this entry, but Goriath then shoots ice Hadokens at you. It's incredible how much is packed here into this fight. Just try not to take too many hits. Paintra is awesome. This boss is so good I've played it over 10 times, probably. One of the best bosses in the series at number 5 is a boss with pure creativity and fun. This artist will paint the screen to make it hard to see for, well, the player, including Kirby. Also, Paintra's design is the most clever thing ever. Her legs are 2 colored pencil points. Who comes up with this stuff? Anyways, she will float around and try to jab at Kirby with her kicks, so be careful of that. Often Paintra will fly into the background and spin her 2 legs, making a single paintbrush. With this, she will try to hurt you with different colored paintballs. I find it interesting that about a quarter of the fight, the screen is covered up by paint, at least somewhere on the screen. That means you have to play with more patience, and the paintballs are pretty cleverly thrown because they will land where the game thinks you will run towards. I'm really bad at dodging her quick energy balls, and 3 in a row do hurt quite a bit. At the halfway point, canvases will be summoned and now you'll have to deal with her paintings coming to life. Paintra will even drill through a paper backdrop to hurt you. Oh, I forgot to mention that after each of her attacks, she laughs and it's kinda funny. The fight doesn't offer many chances to do
massive damage,
but because the fight isn't very hard, your patience will be rewarded with a victory. Now here's why she isn't any higher. The fight with Paintra is simply too easy, and being the second boss of Triple Deluxe, you can understand why, but even still, this boss has higher highs than a lot of my other entries, so I do sit it at number 5. King Dedede gets the spotlight finally, and you'll never guess what game I chose for his entry. Just like Wispy and Krakow, Masked Dedede from Triple Deluxe is his best incarnation. King Dedede is out to annihilate Kirby thanks to Tyranza puppeting the king, and he goes all out with a massive hammer. Tackling the floor is his first move every time you fight him, and that alone can probably take a chunk of Kirby's health, maybe even a quarter. Masked Dedede offers lots of stars after his attacks, but the period is so brief for you to rely on it that you better just rely on copy abilities when taking him on. He is left open when trying to suck you in, so take out the rest of his health then. That wasn't that great of a boss at all. Masked Dedede's Revenge? Okay, with much more strength and life-threatening attacks, including axe spin attacks, homing energy balls, a faster tackle, a tornado maneuver, and even support from Tyranza in the back, Masked Dedede's Revenge is simply epic and challenging. This is one climactic battle, not the battle before it. You all saw this coming. HRH is just as good as everyone says. Just look at HRH's design. This robot has one of my favorite robot designs in all of media, despite the dated graphics. But let's praise the battle instead. HRH will shoot out rockets that will hurl down at you while it clasps its hands together to try and crush Kirby. The hands are its weak points, so dodge swiftly to have an opportunity to damage the robot. If you are without a copy ability for this fight, you're basically screwed here. Using the rocks is very difficult, and it's actually kind of too easy when using copy abilities, so pick your preference. Of course, that's not all HRH has in store. Transforming into the air, It lands on your platforms and chases you from the right. The big black area in the front is now a new weak spot. Both phases have a ton of scale, and the atmosphere is impressive, especially the Dark City background. Rockets are now faster and very annoying to dodge, but still manageable. It's very easy to get hit by the rockets because you don't have much room on screen while the camera shifts. Focus on defense first and then whittle away at the robot's health. Unless you have a broken copy ability, then just go all out and finish the boss. HRH then pulls another exciting move. The robot takes to the skies again and tries to land on Kirby. That's a lot of weight for a puffball to handle, let me just say. You can go in front of him, and, well, at this point the back is safer because you can just run under HRH. With a lot of health lost, HRH slams down onto the platform and the boss is finally defeated. HAL Laboratories was very ambitious with this boss back in 2000, but it turned out great. I still find the next two entries better overall. Wow, a boss that is literally a part of the lore Star Cutter. Similar to the smaller and weaker Doomer enemies found in the Subdimension, the Grand Doomer is a massive and menacing beast with very creative attacks. The Grand Doomer tries to fly at you and is invulnerable above his head due to his spikes. His weak point is obviously the ship piece, and I have to say it's super satisfying to attack the Grand Doomer. Most attacks involve giant fireballs that can be knocked back at the boss. Most annoyingly is the Doomer's teleportation, but hey, you'll get used to it. I'm honestly not sure if he's still vulnerable while teleporting, but you can give it a go and try. I love how all of the fireball attacks can be countered and the black hole attacks are super creative. What more could you want from such an atmospheric and fun battle? How about more obnoxious attacks at half health? Well, that's what you end up getting. Those fireballs. Ridiculous. I love this challenge as it shows that Kirby games can still kick your butt. So for the final phase, you have to use the super abilities in order to crack his shield, and it bounces around like Ribbit. Using the super copy abilities is a unique idea for incorporating them into a boss fight, and with an epic finish, you defeat the Grand Doomer. I've literally no complaints about this boss, but one still lurks ahead. Number 1 is two bosses fought one after another, and the second one cannot even be accessed in the story of the game. But considering that this doesn't break my rules for this countdown, there should be no objections. 2 words. Metal General. This awesomely designed robot has several moves. For one, it has a sword attack that can be used as a propeller charging towards you. Grenades and Beedrills are thrown into the mix as well. My favorite of his attacks involve the ones with electricity, as those are just fun to dodge. Metal General actually shows its health being dropped as you attack it, which is a nice little detail. After enjoying this fight, Metal General pulls a freaking rocket and crashes onto you. Wow. Keep repeating this and you successfully defeated Metal General, or at least the General by himself. This robot is a master of technology because you then have to fight HRD3, an enhanced robot similar to HRH, with Metal General piloting it. Where do I even begin? Attacks? Well, slamming his arms into the platform in combination with rockets is extreme for sure. Each of HRD3's attacks hurt a lot, but the biggest are the next. In the second phase of the fight with the robot, making this battle have 3 phases, HRD3 goes onto your platform and shoots a screen-clearing laser. He also drills the heck out of you and tries to dive on top of you like HRH. Every time you damage the robot, some of its parts fall off, which is really neat. This is the most over-the-top boss in the series, and its fun factor and creativity as well as the challenge make it, in my opinion, the best boss in the Kirby series. Hey everyone, thanks for watching! If you're new to my channel, please subscribe for more content. If you liked this video, show me by clicking the like button, as it shows me that you really enjoyed the video. If you have something to say or just a question, please comment below. So far, I've never missed one. And lastly, on the screen are some annotations to my previous videos and social media links. This is Christoph Gaving signing out, and take care everyone.